I originally I had reached out to you on LinkedIn, and dude, I'm just really interested in two things: technology and entrepreneurism. And so I put together a list of founders and CEOs that I thought would be really fun to learn from. And so that's what we're going to do, man. We're here to just learn in the next 30 minutes. So yeah, the questions that I ask will be related to those two things: entrepreneurism and technology. And so yeah, man, you got your start back in '98 as a web developer. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I started my career in tech doing web development and whatnot. I convinced the first job I ever had in the tech world was a web developer for our local public television and radio station, KUAT. And like, I think back on it, I mean, I was their sole person who was in charge of all of their web presence, and I was a sophomore in undergrad. So how things have changed.
Very much, very much. Well, you have this journey that I'd like to talk about, man. And you founded this DataDistillr in 2020. You guys are rolling into your second year now. Got some funding. I'm sure that you guys are growing your customer base. That's exciting. But I would love to hear the journey in that gap. We also have to talk about the fact that you were in counterterrorism for the CIA. That's pretty awesome. So you're with the CIA for 5 years. Love to hear that part. But yeah, man, I would love to just hear your journey. How you got started in tech, why you love technology, and go from there.
Sure. I'll date myself. I was thinking about this kind of actually over the weekend and for the last few weeks, but when I kind of was growing up, I became of age kind of as the internet was exploding, and just during the 90s, there was just this whole period of all these things were becoming possible, and things were I mean, I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, just as an example, I remember phone calls were really expensive. All my family's on the East Coast, and it was a major, it was a big deal when, one of them called and all this. And then I remember in college, when second year or something there, someone showed me what was, now it's ubiquitous, but a voice chatting thing where you could talk to someone in another country for free. And I remember that moment was just wow, this is going to change this. This is going to really change the world here. And I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff like that. So what I've always been interested in technology, and I guess I kind of got lucky in the sense of I kind of was growing up as a lot of these technologies were. So my journey started, I was doing all this web stuff. I thought that was really cool. 9/11 happened. I got interested in Middle East events in the Middle East, and that kind of led me on the career down doing the counterterrorism thing. But even then, when I was doing that work, I really had an opportunity to kind of infuse tech with that. And I built all these interactive analyses and doing all that stuff, which is kind of what put me on the path to doing more advanced data analysis later. Excuse me. So anyway, I was at the agency for about 5 years doing that. I wanted something that was a little bit closer to home, so I ended up getting a job with Booz Allen and working at Fort Meade. But that gave me a lot of opportunities. So when I was there, I ended up learning how to automate a lot of the tasks that we were doing, and that kind of put me on the path of data science. And then that's kind of how I ended up. And then I had a really supportive manager who encouraged me to say, hey, you're doing all this cool stuff. You need to learn how to teach other people how to do all this. So I ended up doing a lot of that, and that was really enjoyable for me.
I saw some teaching opportunities. You built some courses or taught some courses for a while.
I actually have a training company also, which I'm a partner in, and we teach cyber data science classes. We've taught at, I don't know if you're familiar with the Black Hat Conference, but we've taught there now. This will be our 8th year teaching there, and I've taught for corporate clients all over the world. So it's something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would like to understand a little bit about your entrepreneurial roots. I mean, being a co-founder, is that something that came really natural to you? Or I understand that you had a progression, right, throughout your career. before DataDistillr. But yeah, tell me a little bit about being an entrepreneur and how that coincided with what you're doing now.
So the what I'm doing now is an outgrowth of everything that I was seeing when I was doing data science work at, for the government, I worked for 2 banks after that, and just seeing the problems, like that essentially everybody had the same problems. And I believe that that our product can solve that. So that was kind of why I did that. But in a way, I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing and be a bit of an independent spirit. And that's kind of what led me down the entrepreneurial route. And it's something I've enjoyed. It's definitely not easy. No one should go into it thinking, oh, it's so easy to like raise money and start a company from scratch. And no, it's really freaking hard. And no one should have any illusions, which I don't feel like I do, but no one should have any illusions about that going into it. But for me, it's like, it's really rewarding. It's really rewarding to see kind of like to build a team, have a team of people working for you that are like kind of united in what they're doing, to see like when you make a sale, or when someone like looks at your product and really likes it, like that's a really cool moment. And then I don't know that. So for me, that's kind of, those are kind of like the drivers. It's just like building a great product, and helping people do their jobs better with our product.
Yeah. Was it tough for you guys to find a product market fit, or did you already know your audience before you guys started building out your platform?
So I would say in our journey, we're still kind of in the process of like solidifying our product market fit, because we're still early. I mean, and the product we're building, it is a very technically complicated one. With that said, I do feel like because I have the team that I do, we know our audience, and we know the problems that they have, and we know that they're real problems. They're not kind of made up nonsense type problems. So like we're pretty confident about that, but it's really now just about like getting our tools so that it works all the time. It really just gives the user the experience they want, and at the price point that they're willing to pay for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, as a marketer, I'm always interested in how other founders, co-founders, leaders see their audience, and so can you tell me a little bit about that? I'd like to know a little bit about your audience, who they are, how you help them, that sort of thing.
Sure. So let me kind of start out by just kind of briefly, I know this isn't supposed to be a commercial for our product, but let me kind of just set the stage a bit, tell you what our product does, and then I'll they'll see that. So our product, DataDistillr, it's meant to solve one of the problems when doing data analysis, and that's that data is invariably all over the place in different formats and different systems. And when data analysts or business analysts try to do their work, a big part of what they have to do is simply just gathering that data and working with it. And that's a major challenge for people, especially if people who aren't so technically inclined. So what our tool does is it makes that really easy. It makes it very easy to connect disparate data sources and work with them and analyze them. So with that said, we have a couple of kind of different audiences that we talk to. And the first one would be like fellow data scientists, data analysts, people who work with data. And then the problem though is that oftentimes, especially in large companies, they're not the ones who get to make the decisions about what tools they use. So oftentimes there's like an IT shop or a data engineering shop or something like that, that they're the teams that actually, have the checkbook and buy the stuff that they use. So it's an interesting situation, because we have this like we're selling to one, but they're not the one with the checkbook, it's someone else. So we have to do something to make them happy also.
You've got a customer, then you got a consumer.
Yes. Yeah. So our tool has to kind of check both boxes in terms of value.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. And who do you find is getting the most value from this? Is this all B2B?
So our product right now is really a B2B product, but we're in the process of building a freemium version of it. And that's there's some more technical issues that we're kind of working on. So that's coming very, very soon. But really it's more, for kind of larger companies.
Okay. Is that kind of where you see DataDistillr, let's say in the next 5 to 7 years?
No, I see us being more for like smaller businesses, and really being for anybody. My like take over the world vision is I want our tool to basically own data. So like if someone's doing data analysis, they're using our tool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Upward and onward, right?
Absolutely. Hey, you got like go big or go home. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great, man. I mean, there are a ton of questions. Let me look at my notes. There are so many questions that I wanted to ask you about. Can you tell me at what point did you really know that, entrepreneurism was for you? Tell us a little bit about your journey actually becoming an entrepreneur for the first time. Was networking and the people around you important to that? Or was this something that you knew you wanted to go do?
So it's been something I've always wanted to do. I don't know why. It's just something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I never really could figure out how, like just kind of the how, and what an unlikely chain of events kind of led that to me. So I'm not a big social media user, but I try to spend my time. I do spend a decent amount of time on LinkedIn and networking that way. And COVID has made it like definitely hard to network with peers and all that. But I got connected with somebody who hired me to do some consulting work for them, and the person had an early stage startup. And so at one point, I just asked him, I'm like, hey, how do you get funding? Can you just like, how did you do it? And can you just like mentor me? Because I have this idea. And so he was like, sure, man, I'm happy to help you with that. And so he and I had a bunch of sessions. He helped me write a pitch deck. He helped me kind of steer clear of the bullshit and all this stuff. And he said like, look, when we're ready, I'll introduce you to my investors, and we'll see what happens. But he's like, I guarantee you'll get money. And so I was like, okay, you're more confident than I am. So okay. But he was right. And so I surprisingly did it. And to me, it was just like, I want to do this. I will feel bad if when I retire, if I give it a go and don't succeed, okay, at least I'll know that happened. But like, if I never try, I felt like I would be just beating myself up forever. So I felt like I just had to go for it and see what happened. So
yeah, awesome, man. It sounds like it was meant to be. It was meant to be. You found the right person, had an opportunity, and you jumped. What do you think is, since you've had DataDistillr, what has been one of the most difficult things about being a co-founder?
Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Yeah. So what was I'll start over. Since starting DataDistillr, what has been the most difficult thing about being a co-founder, about running your business?
I think the hardest thing I think there's two things. One, like, I think dealing with the kind of people aspect of things is always like I think a challenging piece of it. I think also like making the mental shift from, hey, I'm one of the guys on the team, to I'm the owner of the team and the company.
Yeah.
And like, it puts certain boundaries on like things you can and can't. Like, it taught me I had to be very careful with, like things I say, and because like, and even now we have this ongoing discussion, like in our tech team, like when we have product calls, I'll often write up notes of like, hey, this is what I saw, this is it. And then our tech team will then go and start building this stuff, or they'll like react and like, guys, I am noting this for future discussions and prioritization. This doesn't mean we have to go do it. It's just like, so like understanding that your words have a much different impact than when you're, just an employee who might be somebody's boss. So that understanding, coming to terms with that, has definitely been a challenge and something I've had to give a lot of thought to.
Yeah. A lot of, when people are listening to you, they take you seriously, and you're like, no, I was just brainstorming.
Yeah, no, really. It's like,
don't execute on that.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And if you're not careful, also just the prioritization, like I've really had to learn, like and I've written some blog posts about this, but just, you have to be ruthless about prioritization. And
like with your personal time.
Personal time.
What you're gonna do. Mm-hmm.
Personal time, but even it also in product, like you have this vision of what you want to build, and then you have the resources, and so you have to figure out, okay, well, what are the things that we're going to prioritize that are going to get us to sales and product market fit, versus things that I just think we should do because I think we should do them. And sometimes sometimes you kind of have to make a gut call and be like, no, we're going to do this. And other times you have to like kind of make the other way. It's like that balance of listening to your customers versus, I'm sure you've heard the quote, I think it was from Henry Ford, that if I ask my customers what they want before they sell the car, they would say a faster horse. So it's like you kind of those two forces at work.
Yeah. Do you have like a philosophy when it comes to like working with co-founders, for example, or your team members in terms of what you do, what they do, or how to just get along?
My my biggest philosophy, I think, in that regard is trying to, first off, being transparent with decision making. I like to ask people what they think. I like to create an environment where people don't feel shy to say what they think. I think that's really important. And have people on your team who are not going to just suck up to you and tell you like everything's great when everything isn't great, or basically someone who's not afraid to tell you like, look, I think that's a terrible idea and we shouldn't do that. So having that in a respectful way, of course. So I think having that is something that I personally value. I think just creating that culture of everybody feels their contribution, no matter how junior, is welcome. And obviously, though, at the end of the day, decisions have to get made.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to be happy with those decisions. And I think what's been hard for me is also sometimes just being okay with making a call and knowing that not everyone's going to be okay with that. But just at the end of the day, you have to make decisions. So
yeah, man.
So.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
We grazed over the fact that you're in counterterrorism, right? For 5 years for the CIA. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, if that's okay.
Sure.
I would love to know, like, what was one of your biggest takeaways, from being in counterterrorism for the CIA?
Okay. Question. You stumped me.
That's what I do.
I think one of the so first off, I was a CT analyst, and which you like just the job. It's like, I mean, basically you're not the gatherer of information. You're like the recipient, and you're the one kind of like you're not, CIA isn't really supposed to advocate for policies, but you're the one who's kind of like presenting this information to policymakers. So I would say a couple things. One is that when you start there, they put you through all this like analytic training, and they teach you how to write and how to express yourself and present and do all these things. And I think, to me, from one of the things that's been most valuable for me from my time at CIA was that analytic training. It was just the writing, the ability to like present ideas clearly in writing, in presentation, to give presentations effectively, has served me very, very well. And it's something that, like, I don't know, it will make anyone more successful in what they do, no matter what it is. So I'm a big believer in that. I think the other thing that it taught me was like you to like the CIA isn't a very militaristic organization in a lot of ways. Like it's like, yes, there's a hierarchy, but oftentimes very junior people can be put in contact with very senior people in the government. And it can be pretty shocking when, like you have somebody who's worked there for a year going to brief like the FBI director or something like that, as happened to me. So I think I was there for a little bit longer than that, but like, but still, it's like, I mean, it wasn't, I wasn't like some super senior person, or hearing like, oh, the president read your piece and, thought this about it. And it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So it kind of, it kind of makes you, so it for me, it like kind of downgraded a bit the awe of like working with very senior people, because it's like, at the end of the day, it made me realize like they're just people. They are just people. Like, just go have a conversation with them like you would anybody else. So it kind of like killed the whole like star appeal. It's still pretty cool. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, but like just being in those surroundings, it made an impact. But the other thing, so anyway, so that was one thing. And then another thing that I got out of it was just the neatness of having a job where you have a direct impact on things that really matter. And it teaches you a sense of prioritization. Like when I ended up working at, at the banks, it's like people would be flipping out over stuff. And it would always remind me of it, from CIA times. It's like, look, are people going to die as a result of this? And if the answer is no, then you don't need to be like worried about it. Like just dial it down a notch. If people are going to die, if there's going to be like, if someone's going to, I don't know, if things like that are going to happen, then okay, yeah, then yes, be stressed about it. But if that's not going to happen, then it's okay. Like so kind of like the stress management level, I think was something else that I got out of it. But it was a great experience. I certainly don't regret it at all.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be a really cool title on your resume, right? I mean, it's a great topic to bring up, with friends. So
yeah.
I work for the CIA. Tell me more. So cool, man. I don't have a whole bunch more questions. Again, man, I just wanted to meet with you, understand, your philosophy toward entrepreneurism. Wanted to understand a little bit about the marketing side, or the product market fit side of DataDistillr. And it sounds like we covered quite a bit. Was there anything else that you wanted to share before we wrapped up our call?
I think I'm good. I mean, I'm not sure who your audience is, but
yeah,
I mean, like, if it's an aspiring entrepreneurs, I would say find yourself a mentor. For me, like, one of the most valuable things anyone ever said to me is just like about mentorship. I'm a big believer in paying it forward. So like, I try to mentor people all I can, and I try to encourage younger people, like, who are starting out in a career, find a mentor and do it. So I think that's really important. Also, like, when you're starting a team, like, look for people who have teaching experience, because then, as you hire senior people, they will teach junior people, versus like being jerks and not do it. So that's mentoring on all fronts is a good thing. So that's something I'm a big believer in.
Great advice. Do you have any favorite books, whether in tech or entrepreneurism, that you wanted to share?
Let's see. It's funny, like, I read a ton of books, and I just like,
I'm the same. Like, I'm a big audio guy. And so if it's not sitting on my bookshelf, I forget the name of it.
Yeah. I read a whole series of books. So there's the lean analytics and lean startup series.
Yeah.
Those are all really great books. I read another book kind of like along the same theme. It was like the Toyota management system, something. I don't remember. That was definitely a book that kind of influenced my thinking on just how to approach building a product.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure there's tons of others. Those are the ones that immediately. I'm reading a book right now called The Resilient Founder by he's actually one of our investors, Mahendra Ravsajani. He's a really great book, just talking about like all the stressors that go into founding a company and kind of how to deal with them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. There's a book that I'm thinking of. Man, I'm having a friend read it right now. I just went blank on it, dude. It's about founders, and just about that relationship between co-founders and how you can actually. It's called Rocket Fuel. Actually, have you heard of it?
Okay.
Yeah. So
no.
Rocket Fuel. It's great, man. It's a great book for leadership, and how there's like this polarity between a creative person and a doer, right? An implementer, in fact. And so it's a doer and an implementer in this book, and how it's important that there should be tension, right? There should be tension between those two, and how they actually work off one another. It's a great book. Check it out. It's a red cover. Awesome, man. Charles, it was a pleasure meeting with you, man. And dude, we should do it again sometime. This was a ton of fun.
Happy to.
So, I learned a lot, and my audience, in fact, are tech entrepreneurs. So they're owners, CEOs, founders in software development companies, in software SaaS companies, stuff like that. So I'm sure that this interview is going to be encouraging and helpful to them as well. So appreciate your time, my friend.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man. We'll chat later. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, man. Have a great
Take care.
week. We'll see you.
You too.
Charles.
Bye.